In the wild, mysterious depths of Brittany, France, sits an old abandoned shack. Surrounded by ancient oaks and home to all manner of forest dwellers, it is here that we meet to share our stories. So pull up a seat, swing that light, grab your favourite beverage as we share another tantalising tale in the freaking shack.
We're officially going.
Welcome back to the shack.
Hi, everyone. It's not our usual way to do this.
It's not. You're in your shack and I'm in mine.
Yes, we are in separate shacks at the moment.
Yeah, everybody needs to have their own shack. I think it's important. Okay, so what's your beverage?
My beverage it's very similar looking to yours, but mine is just cider, and yours is wine.
Oh, okay, I like it. Is it a fruit cider? Because it looks red.
It is. Yeah, fruity
You've got a fruit cider. I will say that my glass is red, so that kind of makes it look like I've got a full glass and I haven't. I've only got a bit in there. But it's a very big glass. I have 2 on the go at the moment because I had a wee aperitif before dinner, which I'm still drinking, which is a spiced rum and orange. So I've got that one. And I have, because we had beef for dinner, so I have a steak wine. In fact, it's not just a steak wine, it's the original steak wine.
Very nice.
And I only picked it up because it's got a cow on the front and I thought it was cute. And then we were having beef for dinner and I was like, do you know what? I'm totally having it. Anyway, it's a product of France. It is a red wine and is 14.5%. So it's a doozy. It's a pokey one.
Well,
it's very nice.
Mine,
I will say
mine
that.
is an André Jalbert cidre rosé, and it is probably it's 2.5%.
Oh wow!
I don't think
so. That's how our podcast is going tonight, then.
Yeah, somebody's got to be in control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Although I will say, I'm sorry, I've got to show you my T-shirt because it's new. Are you ready?
That's a nice brew.
There you go. Sorry, for those of you, if we're not using the video for this, I'm just going to explain that I have a T-shirt with a dinosaur on it and it's holding a big cup of tea and it says T-Rex. That's it.
We may or may not use the video. We're not doing
we'll see.
Yours is all right, but my computer is old, unfortunately, and I haven't got a camera. Only the one that's in the video. So it's not the best, but I will buy one. I will buy one for next time.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm only using my my laptop camera and my light sensor's buggered, so it could be, it may or may not work. Anyway, it'll be fine. We don't have to use the video if we don't want to anyway.
No, we don't. Hopefully you'll get the audio, which will be reasonably okay. That's all we're worried about. Having never done this like this before, we are
every time we've recorded, we've been in the same room.
Yeah. So, yeah. But circumstances have changed, and you are hard at work at a different job.
Yeah. Which has been a learning experience like I never thought ever. And it's been crazy. I'm working in a restaurant, for those that don't know. I'm working in a restaurant and I'm officially a waitress. I've never been a waitress ever in my life, and I'm 40. And servers, technically. You have to have the S on it because I'm a woman. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah, I've never been a waitress ever. It's the first time. I'm 40 years old and I've just become a waitress. And do you know what? I love it. It's so much fun. And doing it all in French is just a challenge I never thought I was going to ever meet. And having to learn all of the names of the dishes, but the specific, like, because it's not just beef or chicken or, do you know what I mean? It's filet de boeuf. It's, whatever it happens to be. Broche de Jean-Jacques. It's all these things that I'm having to try and get my face round at the moment. And it's hysterical sometimes because I haven't got the foggiest idea. And somebody asked me the other day about one of the desserts, and he asked me what the dome was. Right now, it's just a dome. It's exactly what, same in French as English, but it's essentially like a mousse. It's a mousse dome with a red fruit heart covered in chocolate and served with essentially like a custard with chocolate. But I can't say that in French. And the only thing, where it's got like a chocolate shell over the top, and the only word that came to my head was like a chocolate skin. And I was like, that's just not appealing. I can't say that. It's got chocolate on it. So I went with covered in chocolate rather than a chocolate skin, which was the only. I was just like, oh my God, I cannot tell him that it has a chocolate skin. That's just not nice.
That'll put him off straight away.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just really funny. There's occasionally these little things that kind of pop up that I'm just like, oh shit, how do I say that? How do I explain that thing? And then somebody asked me, could I recommend a wine? And I was like, this one's very popular because that's the only one that I've ever had ordered before. So I was like, well, it's popular to me. So brilliant. Yeah, I'm flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Oh, dear me. But I will say that the people that I'm working for are wonderful, beautiful people. And with such a sense of humour. The chef has a sense of humour that I very much enjoy. The two chefs that are there are fantastic, and they're up for a giggle, and we have a laugh. And the lady that I'm working with as front of house, she's very precise. It's just so. It has to be exactly just like this. It's very specific and very precise. But she's just lovely. She's so, so wonderful, and she's so patient. Especially when I don't understand, and I'm like, And
I will just add here that it is a rather upper class restaurant. You're not working in McDonald's.
No, it is a proper posh place where people dress up. They go for big occasions. The other day we had 2 50th wedding anniversaries at the same time in 2 separate dining rooms. I'm trying to put my
light up. Excuse me.
Are you having fun there?
Yeah. I was getting dimmer and dimmer, I think. That's better.
I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word.
No, don't. I can't get much dimmer.
Oh dear. But yeah, anyway, I'm learning lots and I'm having a lot of fun, and it's great. And I'm, being paid to do it. And I'm getting paid more now as a waitress, waiting tables, granted classy tables, in a classy establishment, but I'm getting paid more than I was before. And this was a pattern as well in the UK, that teachers, TAs, staff in schools are just not paid well at all for their jobs. And it's sad, really, when it is a skilled job that you really do need to know what you're doing.
It is. It's a skilled job, and it's a responsible job. I mean, I'm not saying that serving people their food isn't, but when you're in charge of these special little people, you would think it
just seems strange to me.
But hey-ho, that's life.
It's a bizarre thing, because as I say, and I'm not taking anything away from waiting staff, because obviously I am one. I'm doing that myself. But
I did it for many years.
Yeah. And I think it's almost I feel like it's a bit of a rite of passage, to be honest, because I've never done it before. Although I've worked lower paid and jobs in the service industry, retail and things like that. I've done that for a long time. But I don't know, I feel like it's a bit of a box ticked for me that I've actually wait tables, because it is a different skill altogether, and especially here, because there's a lot more emphasis on the time that you put the bread on the table, the time that you serve the wine. The wine has to be served before the entree, and then, and then you have to continue to top the wine up. the clients are not expected at any point to pick up a water bottle or a wine bottle at all. They should not touch it. You are expected to anticipate when the glass is empty enough and refill it as and when it is needed. There was one lady who she was really thirsty and she just kept going down her water, and I kept going over and refilling her glass for her, and she felt really bad. And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I was like, no, it's all part of the service. It's all that. No, that's my job, But it's it's one of those things that not everyone's used to. And I think in a lot of time, the thing I had to kind of get used to is the fact that the people that are coming here have also, a lot of them have been coming here for the last 28 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know how she works, and they know what I'm expected to do.
Perfect. Well, that was Eating in France and the Skills You Need by Stephanie.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, this is starting a new career by Steph.
We've just taken up the first 13 minutes.
Sorry, my bad.
That what
my bad. We can cut that out.
Well, no, we're not cutting that out. No,
it's also a thing because we haven't actually spoken since we last did this whole thing. So I don't feel like I've been able to touch base with you at all over all of this. Anyway.
No, I know. We've spoken a few times, but not properly, like face to face like this. So Steph has no idea of all the notes and things I've been getting ready. She has. We've had a quick chat with each other via Messenger to do the. She's showing everyone her book at the minute that she's done, as to exactly what we were talking about this week, because we've had 2 weeks, of course, of Tales from the Shack. Did you get to listen to them?
Yeah, I didn't get to listen to them.
The first one was spooky.
I'm sorry,
really, really spooky.
I've got it. I've got it saved because I do want to listen to that one because, yeah, I saw your post on it online and I was like, oh, so I have got it and I'm downloading it. So, yeah, I will listen to that one. I will listen to the other one as well. I just haven't gotten round to anything. I seriously haven't done anything but work. It's Easter week, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It has been insane. So
never mind. Not to worry. You've got them all to come. But yeah, they were both really good and on an Easter theme. So I'm not too worried that today's is really not about Easter much at all. So we are talking mythical creatures, and the ones we're going to try and do 2 lots of recording today, if possible. So the first one I think we're talking about at the minute is like some of the ones that I've got which link to Harry Potter. Some of the mythical creatures in Harry Potter. Some of them maybe in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That sort of. But I can't remember offhand.
It's the Wizarding World. It's the Wizarding World connections that you're making here.
It is, yes. And it's looking at the fact that, not the fact that it's anything to do with Harry Potter, really. It's just looking at the creatures. And we see some of those creatures, not necessarily in Harry Potter, but in other areas as well. I think some of these actually mention some of the other sort of genres that they appear in. But it's just looking at the fact of like where they came from. They're not just beasts and creatures that have been made up. They're not fictional. Well, I say they're not fictional. They're mythological.
Arguably, they kind of are. They're mythological and legendary, but at the same time, I think it's trying to separate the fact that the author that shall not be named has not created these from her own brain entirely.
No.
These were already elements of history, and that's the part that we're picking up on here.
Yeah, and many of them had already been used in all sorts of like films and poetry and fictional stories over the years. So it's a lot of these are stories that have been passed down for generations from ancient times. So yeah, so I thought what we would look at first, and it just happens to be the first one on my list here in front of me. It wasn't until I came on here, I've been putting all my notes onto printing them all off today, so I had them all to read. And it wasn't until I came on to Riverside and I suddenly saw that you can have a prompt we go off track too much sometimes. And I could just see
no shit. Oh
yeah, and I could just see the prompt just carrying on, and we're talking about something completely different, and then I won't know where the hell I am. So I don't know.
Good
I'm going to have to
Good
test.
point. Well made.
I will test it out before I use it. I think to see if I stop talking, will it stop talking, or showing me the words?
Good plan, Batman.
Anyway, the first creature that I have is the basilisk.
I've got some on the basilisk.
Have you? And I've got.
Go on. I've actually got a really good connection to the Potter thing, but carry on.
Okay. Well, I've got here the basilisk is a legendary creature from European folklore. It is often described as one of the most fearsome and deadly beasts. Are you turning the page by any?
Turn the page.
It is the most fearsome and deadliest beast. And then I've got an overview here of some of the bits about it. So its actual physical description. The basilisk is typically depicted as a serpent or lizard type creature, sometimes with features resembling a rooster. Did you know that?
Oh, interesting. I know that there's connections with roosters. I mean, obviously through the wizarding world, we know that the cry of a cockerel or something along those lines, a rooster can kill it or hurt it in some way. But that's not a feature that I had in my notes, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah, you'll love another one of my facts down here as well. So it resembles a rooster, such as the crest or crown-like structure on its head.
Sorry, I was just going to ask a quick question. Do you have the reason it's called basilisk and with the crest?
I don't know. I may or may not. Tell me if you have it.
Oh, okay, because I have that the basilisk is the Greek for king. So he's supposed to be king of the serpents.
Ah, right. Okay.
And the crest, the crest was supposed to resemble that of a crown.
A crown. Yeah. Ah, right. Oh, it does say a crown-like structure, I suppose, on its head. In some accounts, it's described as a hybrid of a serpent and a cockerel, known as a cockatrice. Now, this should be fun.
I heard that sorry, we have a bit of a delay on our audio, so if we're kind of like back and forthing a little bit, it sounds a bit weird, that's why. The basilisk I heard was supposed to hatch from a cockerel egg. Now, if you know anything about chickens, you know how ridiculous that is. But that was the one thing that I heard was the reason that, if you've watched the Chicken Run film, where the Rocky is trying to bribe the rats with the next egg that he brews up. It's very funny. Anyway, it's that whole thing. But yeah, apparently the basilisk is supposed to have hatched from a cockerel egg.
Right. So it says here, it's known as a cockatrice. What I was going to say was this is going to be hilarious because over the next 2 episodes, I don't know how much in this episode there is, but in all day today getting my notes done, I have spent nearly the whole day going down a list of words that I had no idea how to say. So we have hundreds of words in this today that I have absolutely no idea how to say them. And I have tried to write them out. Whether I remember how I've written them out, we'll see. But I could manage the cockatrice. It is said to move upright, unlike other serpents, and its gaze is reputed to be lethal. So it goes on to then talk about the abilities of this animal, serpent. He has deadly powers. There is a lethal gaze. Anyone who looks directly into the basilisk's eyes is said to die instantly. It has venomous breath. Its breath is so toxic that it can wither plants and kill animals from a distance. Remember that when we do next week's recording, because there's a creature that we're going to discuss who does very similar to that. And it has a destructive presence. The basilisk's mere touch or proximity is said to scorch the earth and destroy vegetation. And that again links to something that we're going to talk about in next week's as well. Very interesting. It has a weakness.
I actually had. Sorry, I'm just gonna jump in and add a little thing in there.
Fine.
Because I've got that. The only thing, because you were talking about the abilities, and I've got the same thing with the bite and the glance. The saliva and smell were fatal. But in addition, I've got a thing here that says it could spit venom at flying birds. Now, I think Fawkes was in for it then, because there's no way that him flying around his head like that was going to do the job. But that punches a little hole in that theory. But yeah, apparently spitting venom was also a thing. So there you go. Carry on.
Wow. Okay. Its weakness. You are going to love one of these. Despite its terrifying abilities, the basilisk has notable vulnerabilities. The first one. Weasels.
Or Weasleys, maybe.
Or Weasleys. Exactly. That was my exact thought when I read it. According to legend, the basilisk is repelled by the odour of weasels or Weasleys.
Weasel pee.
Yeah. Which were sometimes used to hunt and kill it. And mirrors.
What about Jack Russell's? Well, mirrors fits with the theory. Sorry, mirrors fits with the whole thing of the fact that the basilisk is supposed to be linked with the abilities of Medusa or a Medusa in that whole glance thing. And if you've seen the movies, especially the oldest one, I'm sorry, the new one was great. I liked the newer one, but the old one has style, right?
It has.
And with the whole thing of the reflection of the shield and, that whole jazz.
Yeah. So, mirrors, its own lethal gaze can be turned against itself if reflected in a mirror. There you go.
Yeah, and I just found a little section here that says, it says that the crowing of a cockerel would send the basilisk into fits. So I don't know if that's like,
oh, wow.
Like physical convulsions or if it's like just drive it crazy. I'm not sure. But it does say that it would send the basilisk into fits. There you go.
Okay, there you go. Right. So we go on to now origins and etymology. Etymology?
Oh,
yeah.
1 second.
The name.
I also have the magical property of the basilisk is primarily the power to protect whatever you want kept safe from theft or attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know how to say this, but I think it's Gnostic seals of the late classical era carry the image of a basilisk in order to ward off evil. In much the same way that military breastplates carry a gorgon or something of that nature, an image of Medusa's head or something like that. Because one of the main antidotes to basilisk was to carry a cockerel. The creature changed its shape in medieval legend, becoming a serpent with a cockerel's head. There you go.
Okay.
So that's the bit where you were saying that your one said about it being a mixture of a serpent and a cockerel. So I guess that's where that bit happened. That was medieval legend. Yeah.
Going on a little bit more to mine, which again links with yours. The name basilisk comes from the Greek word basiliskos, meaning little king, possibly referring to the crown-like crest on his head. So I'd got that as well. The creature was first mentioned in ancient texts such as Pliny and the Elder Natural History, where it was described as a small but deadly serpent. The symbolism around it is that the basilisk often symbolises death, danger, and the destructive forces of nature, and it has been used as a metaphor for overwhelming power and fear. And it does go on to say modern interpretations, the basilisk has appeared in various forms of media, including literature, films, and games. For example, in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the basilisk is a giant serpent with a deadly gaze and venomous fangs. It is a popular creature in fantasy role-playing games, often portrayed as a formidable enemy.
Yep.
I don't know
Can I also add here that it also says that for Christmas, the basilisk was an ultimate symbol of the devil in his form as the one who tempted our first parents, Adam and Eve. So yeah, he's also that's apparently supposed to have been a basilisk as well.
All right. Okie
So
dokie.
it says beautiful in form and colour, but deadly to the human race.
Wow. So that's a bit about the basilisk, and my next one is werewolves. Again,
I got some on that too, so yeah.
Links with the Harry Potter books, obviously, but obviously loads of other things as well. And I think I've got some of them at the end where it talks about where it's been used. Yes, I have. Okay, werewolves, also known as lycanthropes. That's one of the words I had to write out. Are legendary creatures deeply rooted in European folklore and mythology. So now we're going to look at some of the fascinating aspects of werewolves. The term werewolf comes from the Old English werewolf, where were means man and wolf means wolf, obviously. Belief in werewolves dates back to ancient times, with early mentions in Greek and Roman mythology. For example, the story of King Lycaon, who was transformed into a wolf by Zeus, is one of the earliest werewolf tales. I had to write that one down as well, because it looks like Lycaon, but it's not. It's Lycaon. Lycaon. Characteristics of the werewolf.
I tell you what, the whole thing of the words that we're trying to say. Reading through this book that I've got of mythical creatures, the names and the words, given the fact that they're coming from all different languages and traditions and dialects, and some of the words are just insane. And as a dyslexic person, can I just say, what the hell is going on? Right, because you haven't got a hope of being able to pronounce any of that. I am just about able to read in French right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Dear. Werewolves are humans who can transform into wolves or wolf-like creatures, often during a full moon. In their wolf form, they are typically depicted as large, powerful, and ferocious, with heightened senses and incredible strength. Transformation is often involuntary and triggered by the full moon, although some legends suggest that werewolves can transform at will. And pretty much Fenrir Greyback did that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Supposedly he spent so long in his wolf form and managed to stay half transformed most of the time, which was supposed to be then how he basically bit and transferred that to other people. Yeah, whilst he was still half human. Yeah, there's a whole big thing with that. But
yeah, again from Harry Potter, he was one of the. I don't know if he was actually a Death Eater or whether he was on the Death Eater side anyway. I
believe he was a follower of Voldemort, apparently, but he was half breed, so he wasn't allowed to have a dark mark, I don't think, because he wasn't enough of the right kind of person, I guess. Picky. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So it says here, and I did try to find out. This is so funny. Various myths describe how one becomes a werewolf. There's curses, being cursed by a witch or a deity. You can be born a werewolf. Who'd have known? You can be cursed
is
by
that
a
if the
saint.
mother is bitten beforehand?
I have no idea. It just says that this
I would think that if
one of the various myths that they say.
Yeah, if mum was one, then yeah, maybe. I don't know. But if mum was one, then I suppose
did it on the wrong night.
I don't know. I'm not even going to go near that one.
No, don't go near that one. If you can sell your soul to Satan, and he can make you a werewolf. Being approached by an angel. Listen to this one. Being approached by an angel. Some werewolves apparently work for a higher order.
Okay.
Yeah. That
So they just wear a different coloured collar to all the rest of them.
Yeah, weird. Anyway, bites or scratches, being bitten or scratched by another werewolf. It couldn't be another it could be a werewolf. Couldn't be another werewolf, could it? Because you're not already a werewolf.
Well, yeah, being another one, you'd already be one. Yeah.
Yeah. Magical items, wearing a wolf skin or a belt imbued with magic, apparently.
What
Bizarre.
makes you a werewolf, or?
Yeah. Rituals, magical items, that was. Certain magical items.
So you just need to be really careful of what you buy at like a boat sale.
Yeah.
Yes. Just be aware, don't buy a belt. Just in case, because you might become a werewolf.
I will just say that that's something I'm thinking we might do in one of our new seasons coming up. And it's looking at cursed objects and the tales behind them.
Yeah, cursed objects is a thing. That would be very cool. I'm up for that.
And, yeah, I quite like that because I think...
And the stories behind what happened to people who owned them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, that could be something that comes up in the future soon. So, again, rituals, drinking water from a wolf's paw print. Yep.
Wait, my boy, he makes big paw prints, right? He makes big paw prints. How are you supposed to tell his apart from a wolf's paw print? Because do you know how many people, when I walk him through town, do you know how many people cross the street away from us?
I know.
And they give me looks like I'm some kind of magic woman because I'm walking this big, powerful dog. People are not comfortable around big dogs here. Really not.
No, they're not.
Little dogs, they're fine with. But big dogs, I don't know, there's like an inherent fear that he's going to like eat them or something. And he's more afraid of them than they are of him. Well, I say that. I think he's getting more comfy with the whole situation now because everyone keeps leaving and walking away. So he's just like, oh yeah, he's got his groove back. But I've been walking him through the town.
A wolf in sheep's clothing because he's white.
He is. He's very white and fluffy. But he does have that thing. And because he's a little bit on the nervous side, he does hold his head slightly lower than other dogs that hold their head up a little bit more. So he does have that sort of wolf look a little bit, And it wasn't until I looked at him and I was like, actually, he does walk that way. Anyway, it's fine. He's not a wolf dog at all. He's a pure dog and he's a soppy git, but
Yeah. Anyway, drinking water from a wolf's paw print or consuming certain herbs. Now, I knew what you were going to...
herbs, do we?
Yeah. I knew what you were going to say when it said certain herbs. I was like, no, that will not...
What herbs?
Yeah. I was like, that will not suffice Stephanie at all. She's going to want to know what herbs. So I dived.
Absolutely. We do not have vague answers here.
So I dove a little harder. And it is things like night phlox, daylilies, and anything that blooms in the night in the moonlight. There you go.
I'm just looking up that.
I didn't find out any more. It didn't say any more. The weaknesses of a werewolf. Werewolves are said to be vulnerable to silver, particularly silver bullets, which can kill them when fired out of a gun, obviously.
Your night phlox, which is spelt with a PH, by the way, not an F. Dyslexia is a beach. That's what I'm going to say. Night phlox, PHLOX. It is a low-growing alpine perennial native to southern Africa. There you go. And it's actually really pretty.
Wonderful.
It's like an orange center with a kind of white stroke, half kind of possibly pink, but I think mostly white leaf, petal type thing. It looks very pretty. Dinky little flower. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. I don't recommend anybody eating these plants, by the way.
No.
So we've got the silver. We've got some legends suggest that this is interesting. Wolfsbane is a poisonous plant and can repel or harm werewolves. But now wolfsbane has got aconite or monkshood as the potent herb inside the wolfsbane itself. In the Harry Potter books, of course, wolfsbane was the one thing that was a proper potion, and it allowed the werewolf to keep his own human mind, even though he transfigured into a werewolf.
I think the word you're looking for is transformed. Transfigured would suggest that he did it to himself. Yeah, transformed.
Probably.
But, yeah, it was supposed to allow you to keep your mind whilst the wolf became your physical structure, but your mind stayed your own.
Your own human, yeah. So you actually have control over yourself as to what you did. And I did add on there that the wolfsbane potion was made by Belby.
Damocles Belby.
Damocles, thank you. I'd written it down, I couldn't read my own writing. Damocles.
Like the sword of.
Yeah. Damocles Belby, sometime before or around 1984 to 1991. In certain stories, breaking the curse requires killing the werewolf or performing a specific ritual. The symbolism of a werewolf often symbolises the duality of human nature, representing the struggle between civilization and primal instincts. I hope that's wine and you're not having a wee.
That was... I had it on camera. It's fine. I'm definitely pouring wine.
So we've got, and they're also associated with themes of transformation, power, and the loss of control. There we go. And I have got a tiny bit more. Werewolves have been iconic figures in horror and fantasy genres, appearing in books, movies, and TV shows. Notable examples include The Wolfman in 1941, the Twilight series, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. There we go.
I'm so sorry, but real vampires don't sparkle. Sorry, I don't accept that. In the Twilight saga, the vampires don't go out in daylight, not because it doesn't kill them, but because they sparkle. Really?
I've never,
as a vampire myself, I will say that the sun will do me in.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't go out
I
in the
do not
sun,
sparkle. No.
It can sparkle in the dark. Okay.
I will shine my brightest light while all the other sun is gone. Then I will, yeah. Also, before you go on, I have a link here between werewolves and France. Do you want to know it?
Oh, yes. I'm disappearing from camera because I just dropped all my paper. Excuse me.
I'm just disappearing under the desk for a moment. It's all right. I'll do some lift music for you. Okay, she's done.
I'm done. Oh my goodness.
Dear. Okay, so my link between France and lycanthropy is a boy, and he's a boy called Jean Grenier. Okay, have you ever heard of him? We're talking 200 years ago. Let's just say not the most popular of all people. However, when this lad was about 14 years old, he wasn't a great person. Let's just say that. He confessed to somebody in his village that he stalked, hunted, killed, and ate younger children. Right?
Oh, nice.
Of the village. Yeah. And he was, at that time, obviously they didn't have the separation of church and state, so the people that were involved in lawmaking and things like that were church officials. So he was sentenced by them. He was officially convicted of lycanthropy.
Oh, wow.
So he was considered mentally unfit. He was possessed by a demon, I use in inverted commas, resulting in lycanthropy. He was basically sentenced to spend the rest of his life serving in a monastery.
Wow.
But he was officially convicted of lycanthropy via demon possession. Because I guess, when you have no other answers, then, evil or God, one or the other. One way or the other. If you have no answers, make one up. Yeah, put one of those in somewhere. But so that was basically what they put that down to. But yeah, so Jean Grenier, 200 years ago, 14-year-old boy, convicted and sentenced. Yeah, convicted of lycanthropy.
Wow.
And that's not the only story that I've heard of cannibalism being reported on as lycanthropy. It's a weird thing. It's a weird connection that's made between the two. And I don't know what differs in terms of when it is just cannibalism and whether or not that's because people have been pushed basically to the brink of starvation, where they have then resorted in, eating other people, or if it is a choice where they kill, murder in order to eat them, and then that is considered lycanthropy. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
But I found a lot of stories between those things, and that was the one that was linked in France. So I thought that was worth mentioning as we're here.
Yeah, brilliant. The next one is the three-headed dog, otherwise known in the Harry Potter series, as Fluffy. But he's actually called Cerberus. He's often referred to as the Hound of Hades. He is one of the most iconic creatures of Greek mythology, and we're going to be looking at, he's the fearsome guardian of the underworld.
Ooh.
Now, this is where I start with some of these words, so you're going to have to bear with me. So the origins and the family of the three-headed dog. Cerberus is the offspring of two monstrous figures. Typhon, who is a giant serpentine creature, and someone called Echidna, which is a half woman, half snake. Yeah, half woman, half snake being. This lineage makes Cerberus part of the family of terrifying creatures, including the Hydra, Chimera, and the Orthrus, which is a two-headed dog. He is a sibling to other legendary monsters, such as the Nemean lion and the Sphinx.
Interesting stuff. I like it.
Yeah. So his appearance, Cerberus is most famously depicted as a three-headed dog, although some ancient sources, like, excuse me for the word again, Hesiod, describes him as having up to 50 or even 100 heads. Whoa.
I'm sorry, but that's a lot of mouths to kind of keep track of, you know?
Do you know what? When I sometimes ask AI to do me a picture, I asked today if AI would do me a picture of one of the creatures that we will be talking about next week. And it was supposed to be a horse with a human rider. I won't go into too much detail and say what it is, but an AI gave me a horse with 4 heads. I was like, no. In fact, it tried all sorts of ways, still didn't.
The amount of times that I've heard people say, I'm trying to get it to do a picture of this, or trying to get it to develop this, and they've shown the results, and it is hysterically funny how bad it can be. It can be very, very clever with words, but imagery, it can't seem to get its head round. It's kind of comical, really.
I've got 2 little AI programs that I use, both free. So I'm not expecting wonderful things from it really. And I sometimes flip from one to the other to see if one of them can manage to get the picture that I want. But one of them, to be perfectly honest, I had such an hysterical time with AI, my little AI person, that because we were trying to do one on rabbits, and we just kept getting more and more and more rabbits and more and more and more Easter eggs. And I was just like, whoa, what is going on? Because we ended up with like 50 rabbits and 1 million Easter eggs. And in the end, I was coming back with very funny reactions to it. And AI played played back and was almost laughing. And this time, when we couldn't get this horse right, we couldn't get the man right, because everything was just going wrong. We were just getting men with 5 heads and horses with 7 heads. And I was just like, do you know what? It might be time that you go and just let your tech stuff just have a rest, and I'll go and have a cup of tea. And I think I took a picture.
You've blown a fuse or something here.
Yeah. I think I took a picture of what he came back and said, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably a good idea just for both of us to chill out for a bit. Oh, gosh. Right. So, no, he could have had 100 heads. I don't know. He is often shown with a serpent for a tail and snakes protruding from various parts of his body, adding to his fearsome appearance. Each of his heads is said to represent the past, the present, and the future. Or, alternatively...
that's kind of cool. I like that.
Or birth, youth, and old age. There you go.
Death. You got birth?
Not death. No.
Not it's birth, life, death.
No. Birth, youth, and old age, it says. Anyway, its role in mythology. It says Cerberus serves as a guardian of the gates of the underworld, ensuring that the dead cannot leave and the living cannot enter without permission. He is a loyal servant of Hades, the god of the underworld, and is a symbol of the boundary between life and death. Famous myths that he was obviously part of, I don't know, I haven't read these notes for a long time, so I'm not sure, is Heracles' 12th labour, whatever that is. As the final and most challenging of his 12 labours, Heracles was tasked with capturing Cerberus and bringing him to the surface. Heracles managed to subdue Cerberus without using any weapons, relying on his immense strength to wrestle the beast into submission. After presenting Cerberus to... Oh, I've missed a word. After presenting Cerberus to King Eurystheus, he returned the hound to the underworld. The next one was Orpheus and Eurydice. The musician Orpheus encountered Cerberus when he descended into the underworld to retrieve his wife, Eurydice. Using the enchanting power of his music, Orpheus lulled Cerberus to sleep, allowing him to pass unharmed. So that's where that little bit of the myth was obviously put into the Harry Potter films, because that's what happened with Fluffy. Had to have music playing and then he went to sleep. So that made me smile when I read that earlier. And then there is Aeneas's journey. In Roman mythology, the hero Aeneas also faced Cerberus during his journey to the underworld. The Sibyl who accompanied him used a drugged honey cake to pacify the beast. Ooh. There we go. The symbolism...
I'm sorry, but I just have to know what kind of drug that was in that cake. A drugged honey cake. Are we talking like opium? Or are we talking like, I don't know. Anyway. Are we talking death by honey cake? Or are we talking like sleeping?
No,
or like
just pacified. So he was just sleeping, I think. He definitely
just
wasn't
sleeping
dead.
Or spinning out.
Yeah. The symbolism of the dog, Cerberus, represents the inescapable nature of death and the finality of the underworld. He has 3 heads, which are often interpreted as symbols of vigilance, ensuring no one escapes his watch. Depictions of Cerberus he's become a popular figure in modern media, appearing in books, movies, and games. And notable examples include the role in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone as Fluffy, and various appearances in video games like Hades and God of War. It remains a fascinating figure in mythology, embodying both terror and loyalty. There you go. Do I just do the story now, and then we'll finish after the story? Because the story...
That sounds like a good idea.
The story links to Cerberus. Just checking my paperwork. Okay, so swing that light. Have we got a light? Where's the light? It's upstairs in the shack.
I've got a light, and I can swing it. It won't swing very much, but it will swing a little bit.
Don't worry, I won't swing the one that I've got here because it's stuck behind my computer now.
Yeah, fair.
So we'll pretend to have a swinging light. I'll get a little light. I've got a torch back here somewhere.
I was going to say you could swing that, yeah.
Swing the torch. Okay, this is called The Keeper's Trial. In the shadowed realm of the underworld, where the rivers Styx and Acheron wove their mournful paths, Cerberus reigned as the unyielding sentinel of the gates. His 3 heads, ever vigilant, ensured that no soul escaped and no mortal trespassed. Yet few knew that even Cerberus himself was not beyond testing. One fateful day, the balance of the underworld was disturbed. Hades, the god of the dead, summoned his loyal hound to the throne of obsidian. Cerberus approached with his claws clicking against the cold stone floor, each head bowed low in deference to his master. "Faithful Cerberus," Hades began, his voice like the creak of an ancient door. "A grave injustice has occurred. A mortal thief has stolen the ember of Elysium, a fragment of eternal light that belongs to this realm alone. Without it, the borders between life and death may fracture. You must retrieve it." The 3 heads of Cerberus growled in unison, a low rumble that reverberated through the chamber. "What mortal dares defile the underworld?" one head demanded. "They will not escape our jaws," the second promised. The third, ever the most watchful, simply sniffed the air, already catching the faint trace of the intruder. "Go," Hades commanded, his shadowy form dissolving into the gloom. "Find the thief before the ember's light fades." Cerberus bounded from the throne room, his massive form a blur of shadows and sinew. He followed the mortal scent trail, which wound its way through the twisting labyrinth of the underworld. As he ran, the tormented souls of the dead whispered around him, their voices carrying fragments of the thief's journey. "The thief is coming," one spirit murmured. "They carry the scent of sunlight," another hissed. At last Cerberus reached the river Styx, where Charon the ferryman stood waiting. The hooded figure pointed his skeletal finger across the dark waters. "The thief fled towards the gates of twilight," he rasped. Without hesitation, Cerberus plunged into the river, his massive paws churning through the black currents. As the waters lapped against his scales, the river's ancient magic tried to sap his energy. Yet Cerberus pressed on, driven by loyalty and the weight of his duty. Emerging on the far shore, Cerberus saw the thief, a cloaked figure clutching the ember of Elysium, its gold light spilling through their fingers. They froze as the hound loomed before them, all 3 heads snarling in unison. "Return the ember," the centre head growled, "and you may yet leave this realm unscathed." The thief, a mortal named Calyx trembled but did not flee. I took it to bring life back to my village, they said, their voice shaking. The crops fail, the rivers dry, and without this light they will perish. For the first time in his eternal watch, Cerberus hesitated. The mortal's plea stirred something deep within him, a flicker of understanding, yet his duty was clear. The ember belonged to the underworld. You do not understand the balance you threaten, the left head barked. Without the ember, the boundaries of death will crumble, the right head warned. But the centre head, ever the most thoughtful, regarded the mortal carefully. There may be another way, it rumbled. Cerberus stepped closer, his massive form casting a shadow over Calyx. You will return the ember to Hades, the centre head said, but I will carry your plea to him. If your cause is just, he may grant mercy. Calyx hesitated and then nodded, relinquishing the ember into the hound's massive jaws. Its golden light flickered, pulsing with an energy that seemed to calm the darkness around them. Cerberus returned to Hades with the ember and Calyx's story. The god of the dead, though stern, was not without wisdom. He restored the ember to its place and allowed a fragment of its light to be sent to the mortal world, bringing fertility and life back to Calyx's village. And so Cerberus resumed his watch, the keeper of the gates and the silent judge of those who dared test the balance of life and death. Yet now there was a deeper fire in his heart, a reminder that even in the darkest realms, compassion could blaze brightly.
I like it. And I like the fact that, there was an ounce of humanity there,
Yes,
a bit of kindness going on. We like that.
So, a nice story.
Yeah, we like that.
And shall we shuffle on off?
Yeah, we'll shack off.
Shack off. Excuse me, just shack off, will you?
Just shack off. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, keep your minds open and your lamps lit, and we will see you again next week at the freaking shack.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Contact us at fshack03@gmail.com or find us on social media by searching #TheFreaking_Shack. That's freaking without a G. We're looking forward to hearing from you really soon.